Hey everyone! So I'm going to be a National Eucharistic Pilgrim this summer, walking 1,000 miles from Texas to Indianapolis, and I just wanted to come tell you all about it because I'm real excited. So let me explain to you what the pilgrimage is and like what's all the hype about and stuff. So the past 3 years in the Catholic Church, there's been this Eucharistic revival going on, and so the culmination of this revival is going on at this conference in Indianapolis. And there's going to be like 70,000 people there. It's going to be crazy. All the big Catholic speakers are going to be there. But to lead up to that conference, they're having 6 young people walk from each of the 4 sides of the United States with the Eucharist in a cross formation. So from California, Minnesota, Connecticut, and Texas. So I am one of 6 on this amazing team that's going to be walking from Texas to Indianapolis. We're going to be going all along the coast. We're starting like on the border in like Brownsville, going through Corpus Christi, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, I think, and then going up through Tennessee, and then meeting everyone, all the 4 pilgrimage routes in Indianapolis for this giant conference. And the whole time we're walking with Jesus. So the coolest thing about this whole thing is that this is going to be the farthest anyone has walked with Jesus himself since the apostles. This is like groundbreaking. Apparently this is unprecedented. That's what they keep telling me. They say that like this has never been done before, and it's going to be the world's longest pilgrimage, which is so cool. So I applied for this back in November, I think. Father Matthew Gossett, shout out to Father Matthew, sent it to me, and he's like, this is so you. Yeah, so I applied for it, did a few interviews, and I ended up getting a position with it, so I'm so thrilled. I'm on a team with 5 other people. They're super cool. Shayla from North Dakota. She works at Christ in the City right now. Charlie from Texas A&M. Camille from Texas also, she's a music minister. Mackenzie, she's doing her PhD in physics right now, super cool. And Josh, he's at Notre Dame right now for architecture, which is sick. And we're going to be joined by a CFR Franciscan from New York. They're like these super hardcore priests from New York, and they serve the poor in like the Bronx area and stuff, and they're hardcore. So they're like honestly one of my favorite orders, so I'm really thrilled to be walking with them. And we're going to be joined by 2 seminarians from the Diocese of Lincoln, I want to say. They haven't yet been chosen, but they will soon. So, and we're going to be staying at a different house every night. So people are going to welcome us into their houses, and I mean, it's going to be safe because they've gone through like safe training or whatever, I don't know what it's called, but so like they're not just random people. Like the Congress who's organizing this has everything figured out, and everything. They have like every step we're gonna take all mapped out, everyone we're gonna stay with, what we're gonna spend our days with. Like we don't have to figure that out at all, it's already figured out, we just execute it, which is awesome because I wouldn't want to help figure this out. So shout out to everyone who's figuring this out. They've been doing it for years, honestly. But so our daily schedule, I think basically we're going to be waking up, have mass at like 7:30 every morning ish, have mass, and then we're going to do a 1-mile solemn procession, which we're just going to have the Eucharist in the monstrance, walk a mile solemnly, and then we're going to walk like 10 to 15 miles a day, which is sick. So I think we're going to be doing that right after that. Walk to the next destination, and then within that we're going to stop for lunch. I mean, people are going to be feeding us all 3 meals, which is so awesome, so thank you in advance to everyone. We're going to have lunch at like parish events. We're going to be putting on like adoration and stuff. We're going to be having like parish events in the evening, because we're probably going to walk before it gets really hot, because we're going to be in Texas. And then we're going to have parish events at night. I think I'm on like every other night, so like I'm not going to be getting burnt out. I'm going to be able to like spend some time with the people who are offering us housing, and I'm really thrilled. So I think we're gonna like rotate jobs. I was thinking there was gonna be like an adult tagging along with us, like driving the van, but then I realized we are the adults. Shocker. So these are all, everyone who's doing it, there's 6 people on each route. So 4 routes, so there's 24 of us. We're all 19 through 29 years old. So, like, they want young people doing this, which is sick. So I'm 21 right now. I'm a junior. By the way, my name's Izzy. I'm a junior at Ohio University. I'm studying publication design and journalism. So we're gonna be like rotating roles. I don't know if it's every week or every day or whatever. So we're gonna take turns being the one that drives the van. We're gonna be taking turns being the person that's in the front, like they're the map for the day and they're directing the whole pilgrimage. Everyone's following them. We're gonna take turns being crowd control, and we're all gonna wear these shirts. They're gonna be orange and blue. And I'm probably just gonna be decked out in long sleeves the whole time because it's Texas and I don't want to get scolded alive. But this is just super cool and important because we're just trying to bring the Eucharistic Jesus to the country. We're trying to bring revival, trying to introduce people to him and show everyone his glory and just like bring them to the people, you know, where they're at. Because they're going to be passing through so many towns. We're just going to be walking on sidewalks through towns. And so us as Catholics, we believe that the Eucharist, that little host, is Jesus Christ, which is a super radical claim, may I say. We believe, like, at Mass, he is transubstantiation. Holy cow. It's called transubstantiation. And he's transferred, in essence, from bread to Jesus. So his whole body, blood, soul, and divinity is within that little host. And it's kind of like super humble of him to do. And we get to receive him every day, if you want, at Mass, which is so cool. So we just want to spread the message about that to the country, you know. So basically what the procession is that tiny host, which we believe is Jesus, in a monstrance, which is like a shiny thing, and we're gonna be like processing through the streets holding Jesus up. I think this is gonna be like a giant free will max. I'm one for like free will maxing. I told this to the bishop of of Minneapolis. I told it to the bishop of Minneapolis. I'm like, this is just a giant free will max. And he's like, I don't know if we can max out our free wills. I was like, Bishop, like, it's not that deep. Like, I'm just like joking. Like, I think I'm really good at getting myself into random situations. And I think this is like just a giant summer full of that. Because who knows what we're gonna get into. I think we're gonna have to like give talks at parishes and stuff. Which is scary. It'll be good. It'll be growthful. It'll be stretching. It'll be stretching. And so I gotta get some real good walking shoes. But I have met everyone. We were in Minnesota in February, so about 2 months ago. They flew us all out. We got to all meet each other. It was super cool and scary. And I introduced myself as Isabel all weekend. Because I was like, I'm gonna change my name for this summer. Like, that's my full name. I've always wanted to go by Isabel for a summer. Like, and I was like saying Isabel to everyone. I was committed to it. And by Sunday, I was like, everybody stop calling me Isabel. I cannot handle this. Please call me Izzy. My name is Izzy. Please stop. And they stopped. I couldn't handle it. That's not for the week. Name change, not for the week. Because I realized it's like more permanent than I think. Like, I'm gonna have to tell everyone this summer that my name's Isabel, and then I'm gonna meet so many people that my name's just gonna end up being Isabel permanently. And I was like, it's a gorgeous name, but like, I've gone by Izzy my whole life. I'm just not, it's not for the week. I can't. So I'm back. I'm Izzy on this route and in real life. Okay, but yeah, we are at this retreat, would you say? Yeah, we all got to meet each other, and it was at the Net Center, Net Ministries. So we had talks all weekend. They fed us 3 wonderful meals. They basically talked us through like what's going to be going down with all this, like what is a Eucharistic revival, like what are we getting ourselves into, what gear should we wear, how, da 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 da. They taught us lightning pose, which goes as so. Wait. So like if the lightning hits you, you're dead, but if it hits the ground near you, it can still go up into you, but you don't want that to happen, so this is the pose you do. You put your heels together, and you put like your hands up like this or something, so that the lightning goes in one heel and down the other, instead of up one leg in your heart, down the other leg. Here it is. See, you want your heels touching. Wait. It's something like that. That kind of looked like a yoga pose. It wasn't. It was a lightning pose, a safety procedure, not a yoga position. And they picked us up from the airport in the actual vans that we'll be driving in. Dude, these vans have tabernacles, which is where the Eucharist is kept in churches, like nailed into them. Because tabernacles have to be like securely put down into what spot they're in, so no one can just come and steal it, and they have to be lockable, so no one can just like come steal the Eucharist, because that would be havoc. I think these are the first vans in America that have tabernacles in them. I think that's what they said. If that's wrong, sorry. But so they picked us up from the airport. We're like, hey, when are you guys gonna pick us up? They're like, you'll know it's us when we get there. Well, and we did. So they're like these giant, I think it's like a 12-person van, and we're gonna get to drive it around all summer, and there's gonna be like this like thing attached to it, like those U-Haul things, that's gonna have all our stuff in it, all the stuff for the processions. And they said like we need to get like good walking shoes. To be honest, it's a month out and I haven't got walking shoes yet. I think I'm gonna go today or tomorrow. I'm just procrastinating it because the thing is, I don't want to get the wrong walking shoes. I'm being a perfectionist about it. I'm procrastinating, and it's not very good behavior, is it? Not helpful. But I'm gonna get a few pairs of walking shoes. So they also like told us about fundraising. We have to fundraise for this. My goal is $3,000 to $5,000. And it's just gonna help with like the practicals of this whole thing. If you wanted to help join in on this mission, you can go to the link below. I'll link it below, and you can donate to my giving page. You can join in on my mission, our mission to bring Jesus in the Eucharist to everyone throughout our route in this country. And I just think it's gonna be so transformational for this country and for these people, and I'm just really excited to be doing this. So if you want to join in on the mission, you can join in down below financially. Please be praying for us the whole time, helping us out spiritually. Couldn't do it without that. Couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much. That was my little commercial. That would be really appreciated, because that goes a long way, and it's gonna help so many hearts be touched, so thank you. So what I think I'm gonna do, I like making things, and I don't think I can make art this summer, really. I'm not gonna have time for that. I have every other night off, right? So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like be writing about this. I'm gonna try to get really good at writing and photography this summer, I think. I wanna document this. This is like a crazy experience. And I don't know, I wanna document it. Because I literally get to walk with Jesus. So it's gonna be like, I don't know, I wanna write about it, I wanna take photos. And maybe I'll put it online. Maybe, we'll see. I'm gonna do like narrative writing about it. So I've already written the part about the retreat that we had in February. I wrote down like what all my friends were wearing the first time I met them in this journal. I know that sounds super creepy, but it's necessary. All of the notes about my friends are in here. It's necessary for the character arc, okay? We need some dynamic characters. It's kind of weird. but it's necessary, guys. It's necessary for the art of it. It's at the heart and soul of this pilgrimage. My nose. No, but... So why am I doing this? Let's see. I think life with Christ is the most wonderful adventure, as JP2 once said. But the thing is, it's so true. I have never found life to be so joyful and adventurous outside of Christ. I've never found life anywhere else. And it's crazy. Like, I couldn't have imagined what he'd get me into when I decided to live for him. I just remember in high school, it was during COVID times that I was a junior and a senior, and life was just like become so like deconstructed. Like, everything socially normal was breaking down. Like, everyone was home, like anything went, and I was like, what is life? Like, what is the point to life? I just remember being like, is the point of life to have this like great career and then meet a husband and have kids and then die? And then I was like, no one's gonna remember me. What's the point of all this success and this pursuit of like money and success, and what's the point of it all if I'm just gonna die and no one's gonna remember me? I was just so like, what is the point of life? And my teacher in high school, I was taking a theology class my senior year, and he would always say, Catholicism is the truth. And I'd always be like, your truth, Mr. Kronholtz. I just remember one day thinking, there has to be truth. Like, there has to be truth, because it's a contradiction to say that the statement, there isn't truth. If you say that's true, it's just contradicting, because if there's no truth, that statement can't be true. So there has to be truth. And so then I remember my best friend Julia and I, we went on this whole like hunt. We were like, we have to find the truth. So we started going to all these different churches for this like month or two period. My senior year of high school, it was that January. And we started going to all these different churches, all these like Protestant, non-denomination, like all these different ones. And we were like, we have to find the truth. And I just remember, like, the Protestant ones were so good. I remember going, I was like, this is the first day of the rest of my life. Like, this is it. And while there's so much goodness and truth within those non-denominational churches, there was something that the Catholic churches had that I just couldn't put into words at the time. It's like, when you walk into a Catholic church, you feel a presence, you feel something there, and you just feel it like in your heart, and you're like, you know. But it's so true. And that's something that those non-denominational churches were missing. I would just walk in there, and after like a month or two, I was like, this is just a building. This is really good and holy and true, but there wasn't the fullness of the truth there. And the difference is that the Catholic Church had the Eucharist inside of it, inside of those tabernacles, and the non-denominational ones, like, doesn't. And that's everything. That's a huge difference. Because I think if you make the claim that Jesus is in the Eucharist, and that's true, then I think that truly changes everything. And that's a difference that can't be overlooked. And so I remember thinking, I was like, okay, either Catholicism is the truth or there's no point to life. And it's so true, because all of like our pursuits of careers and friends and success and money, it's all so good, but if it's not centered around Christ as the first one that we're chasing, if he's not in our pursuit, then it's all just in vain, I think. But now I think the point of life is to love and know God in this life so that we can know and love God in the next. So I just remember thinking, like, Catholicism is the truth or there's no point in life. And I went to a camp called Tolle Lege that summer. I met these like passionate Catholics, and I was like, why aren't they acting too cool? We're at church right now, like, why do they think this is fun? Why aren't they acting too cool? Like, this is lame. And I mean, I always grew up my parents raised me Catholic, And I always loved the church. But in high school, like, everyone started being like, oh, church is lame, da. So, I kind of adopted that mindset. But after spending that week at the seminary, I was going to college here at Ohio University, and I was like, I have to find Catholic friends to live this life of adventure with, or I don't really want friends. But so I came here and found these friends. We just had the best time. We still have the best time. They're so Christ-centered, and we chase the Lord together. They had gone to this camp called Damascus when they were in high school, and they were saying that they were going to serve there this upcoming summer. So I was like, I'll come check it out with you. So I ended up interviewing, and I became a camp counselor at Damascus Catholic Youth Summer Camp for the 10 weeks of summer 2022. And the theme of that summer was Source and Summit, which the Eucharist to Catholics is the source and summit of our faith. It is where everything flows from, and it is the highest point. It's life itself. I ended up being a camp counselor that summer. I got to walk with like 9 or 10 young girls each week through the sacraments, through all these high adventure activities. It was super hard, but it was the time of my life. It was super holy. I say that about everything now. I'm like, it was the time of my life. Because, like, come on. Damascus was the time of my life. This was the time of my life. Blah, blah, blah. But that was, like, one of the times of my life. It was so hard. And I just remember I was just constantly sick. I was just constantly on energy zero. But, like, it was the time where I was like, this is what having a friendship with Jesus is, really. I've always been friends with Jesus, honestly, but that was like a really big turning point. We'd spend a lot of time at the Eucharist. We'd have adoration, I think 4 days a week, maybe 5, I don't know. But I remember a lot of Wednesdays, we'd be in the presence of the Eucharist for like 5 hours. And that was a long time. We'd be in adoration for like confessions. We'd be in a Eucharistic procession. Those were my first Eucharistic processions at Damascus. I didn't really know what was going on that whole summer. I just went with it. It was the best. We spent so much time with the Eucharist, and everyone was so in love with the Eucharist, and you just see how they looked at it, and you're like, wow, that must be super important. Because I don't think I understood what adoration was in high school. I remember we went to adoration. I think it's super cool because I think my first time in adoration was at the Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, the place that we're walking to all summer, which is a super cool full circle moment. I think that was my first time in adoration. We went for NCYC, and I remember asking whoever we were with, I was like, what is adoration? Like, what are we doing? Because they were like, we're going to adoration. I'm like, what does that mean? And I remember them saying to me, just you wait. And I was like, oh, okay. Just you wait, okay. And I remember adoration happening, and I was like, I can tell this is super important right now, but I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I don't really know what the Eucharist is, like, blah, 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 blah. I mean, 100%, let me take some of the blame here. Someone has explained the Eucharist and adoration to me throughout my whole life, I think. I gotta give them the benefit of the doubt, but I never listened, maybe. I don't know. No one ever told me. I never listened. I don't know what it was. But when we were in that Lucas Oil Stadium and a giant adoration was going on, I was like, something special is happening right now, but I have no idea what it could be. I have no idea what's going on. And so going into college, I really started to be like, oh, this is super important. Like, I must have known by that point what the Eucharist was. I don't know. But I really fell in love with the Eucharist at my summer at Damascus Catholic Youth Summer Camp, because we spent so much time in his presence, so much importance was given to him, and I was like, yeah, I love the Eucharist, I profess this, I believe in this. But it wasn't until week 7 where I really fell in love with the Eucharist with my heart. I think I chose to believe in the Eucharist and chose to love the Eucharist before that, because love is a choice. But it really clicked to my heart week 7. I went to confession to this priest. I don't even know if he was receiving confessions, but I went up to him. I was like, hey, can I have a confession? And he's like, yes, thank you so much for coming. Like, I'm so glad you've come. And I was like, oh, like he received me so well. And then while I was saying my confession, he just like looked at me with these like eyes, and he was just like, he was crying. He was just like, this is so beautiful. And it was just, it suddenly clicked to me of like, that is how Jesus is looking at me. Jesus is looking at me through this man's eyes right now. And it was just so beautiful, and it was in adoration. And then I finished that confession, and I just like sat down in adoration. And I just like remember looking at the Eucharist, and I was like, that is truly Jesus Christ. And I could feel his love for me, like, and the way that priest was looking at me, I was like, that is how Jesus is looking at me, with these like tender eyes of like, daughter, I am not mad at you. Like, my heart breaks when your heart breaks. Thank you so much for coming to me. Thank you so much for being here. Like, I love you. It was just such a, you know, and I was bawling. It was beautiful. But I only had like 5 or 10 minutes to sit there, because then I had to go pick my kids up, my 10 kids, from, I don't know, prayer lab maybe. And it was just so funny when you would sit there and cry really hard, and then you'd have to go pick your kids up, and they're like, why are you crying? Like, it would be so embarrassing. But it wasn't like a one and done encounter for me. I think Jesus is gonna encounter so many people in like powerful ways this summer. But I think it was like a gradual friendship, how you fall in love with a person or with your friends. It's like slowly over time, but then like suddenly all at once in a way. I think that was a direct quote. I don't know what that was, but that's so true. It's so true. I think most days since spending the summer in Damascus and falling in love with the Eucharist, I have spent time in the presence of Jesus, in a church, in a chapel, in adoration. Yeah, as many days as I could. And it's just something about it, it doesn't get old. You can look into the Eucharist, and yeah, it's just this tiny white piece of bread, but there's something about its beauty that it's just more gorgeous than the mountains. It's more gorgeous than paintings. It's like you can stare at a painting for a minute and then you get bored after a minute. You can stare at the Eucharist forever, and it's weird. I can't explain it. I think if you're thinking about coming on this pilgrimage, I think you should. I think you should come and see Jesus in the Eucharist for yourself. Because life with Christ is a wonderful adventure, and there's so much life within him, and he's given me such an abundant life, and I just couldn't ask for a greater adventure to be going on this summer. I didn't expect this great adventure to fall into my lap, but he just wants to spend time with me and time with you. And so I think it's gonna be awesome. I think it's gonna be hard. I think I'm gonna be really hot and annoyed at times and want to go to bed, but the beauty of Christ outweighs that all, and I just can't wait to meet all the people that we're gonna meet. We're praying for you. Please comment your prayer intentions. Please text me your prayer intentions. We'll be praying for them all along our walk. Yeah, I challenge you to come find out and see for yourself and decide for yourself who Christ is and what the Eucharist is. Yeah, because I think there's a lot that the media and culture says about Catholicism and Jesus, but I think you need to come see for yourself and make up your own minds, because when I did, it just changed everything, and I will never go back. So yeah, because I think everything that we're claiming is a super radical claim. I'm aware of that. But in the Bible it says, this is my body and this is my blood. Do this in memory of me. And Jesus is really good at like metaphors and all these different figures of speech. but when he said that, this is my body, he wasn't messing around. And it's a big claim. Some of his followers like went the other way. They're like, I'm not getting down behind that. But it's the fullness of life. The Eucharist is God himself. No amount of this world can compare to that beauty. We're not walking as a symbol this summer. We're not walking in memory of him. We're walking with the literal Jesus Christ this summer. And he just can't wait to encounter you. And please pray for us the whole time, because we'll be praying for you. So thank you. Thank you for listening to this video. And I can't wait to see where the summer will lead us all. I'll be posting photos and videos and writing, and I just can't wait to be creative with this and like meet a bunch of new friends and just go on a road trip with Jesus. Like, that's crazy. I just could never have imagined. I have done really cool things these past 2 summers, and I just couldn't picture something cooler. And he just outdoes himself every time. God, you know, when you give him your yes, he is generous with it. He don't hold back. Yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope it impacted you in some way, and I can't wait to share all the photos and see you along the road, or yeah, tell you about it when I get back, or call you along the way. Shoot me a text sometime. So yeah, okay. Thank you. See you guys later.